Hi everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. Welcome to the last day of our 4th of July YouTube project hop. I am so excited about this. I cannot wait to show you what I came up with. So this is a series that the designers for Country Craft Creations have put together. We have all rated our stash of all kinds of patriotic themed papers and come up with a wonderful collection of things that you can make and enjoy over this holiday weekend. So what I will be showing you is my loaded box. This is my take on a loaded envelope. And I've got some really fun things in here. So it looks really cute just sitting as a decor piece, but it also is very functional. You can put pictures in here and there's a lot of interaction. So I'm going to show you how to make all these. There's some decorations that you can make. I'll show you how to do that. So there's a lot of little things in here that we're going to go over today. The collection that I used for my prototype that we're going to go over right now, and then we'll get into the tutorial, is Echo Park's Let Freedom Ring. And this was a collection that was a couple years ago, back in 2021. Or was it 2021? No, it wasn't 2021. Last year, I purchased this paper collection, and Bobbie Weaver, who is another Country Craft Creations designer, and I did a collaboration project together, and we created some projects and then sent them to each other. So I will put links below for that particular project that I made using this paper collection. And then, so what I did was I'm going to raid my stash, and I went through and I got the collection Stars and Stripes by Country Craft Creations. This one came out in 2021. I was getting myself a little confused here. And I had some leftovers that were from a virtual retreat that we did, a neighborhood barbecue virtual retreat back in August of 2021. So I had some leftover papers. Didn't take much to make this project, but it was a great way to use up those leftovers. So again, this is Stars and Stripes. Now this is available at Country Craft Creations. There's also another patriotic collection called All American by Country Craft Creations. And then there's several different collections by Echo Park and Carta. America the Beautiful, God Bless America, and the 4th of July. They're available as well. So if you don't have anything in your stash, you can run over to the store at countrycraftcreations.com and you can pick up a collection and make this. So that's what I'm going to be using today. Now let's go through the project. I got my buddy here. He's helping me out. So I'll put him off to the side for now. I just thought he wanted to say hi, so there you have it. I also, before I go through the box here real quick, because I need to get this off the desk, is I just wanted to share with you, I just kind of went through and I grabbed seam binding that I got from Country Craft Creations. I have these doodlebug sprinkles in red, white, and blue. I'm going to use those to decorate some project stuff. I've got some pieces here. I'll show you those in a minute, some different examples of what you can use for some of the decorations. I also, and you notice in the cover sheet that I showed you, bottom part of it is missing because I cut out all of the little ephemera pieces from the cover sheet so we can use those. I had left over some of the cut aparts from the 12 by 12 collection here, so I've got those ready to go so that I can decorate with. I made flowers, and I'll go through those. These flowers here, I used punches from my stash, so you can use any punch you want. This particular punch is by Fiskars, and it's this punch right here. So what I did was I either punched 3 or 4 out of the pattern paper, and then I spritzed them with water, and then I ran them through my die cut machine using the 3D Floral Basic Shaping Mold by Heartfelt Creations. I did purchase this at Country Craft Creations. So then after I did that and they dried, I just layered a bunch of them together, and then I had this other little punch, and I used it on some of them, not all of them. It's this punch here. It's called Starburst, and it's by McGill. I've had these, you know, forever. So I put a little center of that in there, and then I used some flat back pearls. So I made a whole bunch of those, some out of pattern paper, and then I made some out of the artisan cardstock. This is the red artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations. And I just used some leftover pieces of pattern paper to do the insides. Now, some of them I didn't do the insides, so I have some variety here. Okay, and then during the tutorial, I'll show you how to make this little firework flower here. So I did make a couple of those for decorations. So, and then I have some flowers that are from my stash here. So I have those. I collected some things. One of the projects, I actually used an earring that I bought solely for the purpose of getting the charms and tore it apart and used that. So I'll show you that in a minute. But this is the one I'm going to use for the collection that I'm going to be doing the tutorial with. I do have one of these little clear gem dots that I'm going to use on the top of our little sparkler piece for one of the things that I'm going to show you today. Whoops, excuse me. I do want to, oh boy, I'm getting a mess here. I do want to use 4 of these little teeny tiny book rings, and I did have those in my stash. You can use ribbon, you can use large jump rings, but I'll show you what those are for in a second. I did make up some little twine bows to get those ready to go for decorations, and then I grabbed some buttons. Now, I did want to share with you one thing with some buttons. These were clear buttons that I had in my stash, and I just put glue, art glitter glue on the back of them and put them on pattern paper, and then I used a straight edge like X-Acto knife and trimmed around them and made buttons out of the paper collection. So I will be using these in my decorations as well. Okay, so I've got all my things good to go here, and let me show you what we're going to make. So again, you can raid your stash, get all kinds of stuff here. So one thing I'm gonna show you is how to make this little mini paper chain. It's really easy, and I know we've all done this at some time or another to decorate our Christmas trees and stuff, but I thought what a cute thing to make and add it to like a little banner situation that you got going on in your house, or run it on your coffee table, like the garlands that they make out of the beads. I just thought it was really cute to have like a mini one. So we'll go over that, and then we're going to make a box, and this box is pretty basic. It's 6 by 4, and it is 3 inches wide, so it's 4 inches deep, and we've got all kinds of things in it. So let's take these out, and then I'll show you what all we're going to make, and then we're going to get going with making them. So I took out some of the little decorations. So in a loaded envelope, you always have to have some sort of fun, like Rosette or something like that. So we're making those, but I did make a place to put them in so that they won't kind of slide around the box, and they'll stay in one spot. So we're going to do that. So the box is pretty simple. It does use a little lightweight chipboard. I did decorate it with a little bit of lace from my stash and some buttons. So we're going to do that, but that's a basic box. And then I'm going to show you how to make this really cute little sparkler to put in as decoration. We're going to show you how to make a little rocket, and then we're going to make a rosette. I've done an extensive tutorial on how to make rosettes. That's in my video channel if you're interested in watching that. So inside, we're going to make a bunch of different little goodies. So first off, we're going to make this little mini never-ending album. So that opens up like this, and then it opens like this. And I just decorated again with the pattern papers that I had left over. This is my prototype. Then it opens like this, and then it opens again like this. So it is a never-ending mini album. When you close it, then you're starting at the beginning again, and it just keeps going. So I'll show you how to put that together. This is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I wanted to play with a die that I bought from Country Craft Creations by Elizabeth Craft Designs. And this is a, and you'll have to forgive me, I need to put this together in a, on my magnets that I use to hold my dies, but I haven't done it yet. I use the library card pocket. Now, if you don't have that, I'll give you some measurements so you can make your own. But what I ended up doing was I put it on the front of a card, and I used the little side pocket here on the front, and then I just added this cute little file folder. So that pocket, the library pocket, and the file folder came in this particular thing, and this is available at Country Craft Creations by Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's called the Curved Library Pocket. So I used that, and then I just kind of added some things in this little pocket, and then I had a library card in my stash. If you don't have a library card, no problem. You can find these, a lot of times you can find them for free to print out and use in your projects, but all you have to do is get a 3x5 card too as well. So I just had that in my stash. I added a little sticker to it just to decorate it, and that goes in the front. Then I decided I wanted to make the card. So I just matted with some pattern paper and then used one of the die cuts here that you could put a picture behind and just made a little card. So that goes in there. I wanted to play with some Polaroids again because I just love Polaroids. So I did 2 different sizes. I did some large and some small. So they're all decorated simply on the front. Just use like little cut-aparts or stickers or whatever on the front with your photo mats. And then on the back, I just use pattern paper. So you have another photo mat opportunity on the back. So I'll show you how to make those. And then I know this is a loaded box and it's a themed, or, you know, kind of a riff off of a loaded envelope. So I decided to make an envelope to put in it. So the fun thing about this envelope is that I created it, I decorated it, and then on the back I put another photo mat. And then here I actually did it so that you could tuck a photo underneath there with the elements that came with the paper collection that I used. So I just decorated the back. And then on the inside, I just filled it with a few things because you have to have a loaded envelope, right? So I made 2 cards out of the cut-aparts that were in the collection just so you could add more places for photos. All right, and just used up what I had. And then I used my Heartfelt Creations die for the tag. If you don't have this, I did purchase this at Country Craft Creations, but I do believe it is sold out now. But if you don't have this particular tag, any tag die that you have will work. You could also use, you know, a tag punch and create your own, and I will talk about that. And then I just added some trim and a button and some twine, left the back blank. You could journal, write it, you know, put a picture on there. It's really cute. So that all tucks in here. And again, I used one of my little firework flowers, and I'll show you how to make that. And that just kind of tucks in there. I put a sticker here, some flowers. So you can see all the different things you can do. And then I just love how you can go ahead and put something on the back of that as well. So to go with the loaded theme. Now here, the last but definitely not least, we're going to make this little book. This is another die that I bought from Country Craft Creations, and this is the Viewmaster die by Elizabeth Crafts Designs. It is available, and I used 2 of the pieces here. I used the inside round circle piece, and then I used the Viewmaster piece here. Oh, and I used the little window trims here, so we're going to go through that as well. So again, I did use that die as well. And so here is what it turned out to be. This is why you need the book rings, because I wanted to make kind of a little album. You can make this as big as you want. I only did 2 pages, but I decorated them front and back and on the inside. On the top ring here, I added some trim, some seam binding. I did the twine. And then this is that other earring. I was talking to you about how I used earrings. I bought them specifically so I could have them as charms. And I hung that off of there, and I just loved that look to get the charms, and they were super dirt cheap. They were in my stash, and I just wanted to use them. So here's the top of the Viewmaster. You can see the little Viewmaster windows, and then these little frames that go around. So I cut one out of the pattern paper, and then on that would be the one with the windows in it. I used pattern paper for that, and then used solid for the inside here. And then, so I decorated with the flowers again, and then when you open it up, you have a little album. So with the paper collection that I used for my prototype, I put photo mats here, and I used some stickers and things, and then just kind of decorated the front. Now, again, you could put as many pictures in here as you desire, or, you know, as many pages as you want. You can add different shape pages, whatever you want to do. But I really wanted to create that. And then on the back, again, the pattern paper, and then I used another one of the cut aparts. So I'll show you about that. So that's what we're going to stuff into our loaded box here. And you know, this again is a great little decor piece for when we are, you know, displaying it. So here we go. Let's talk about the box. And I got all my pieces ready to go, so hopefully this tutorial will be pretty quick. You will need a couple things. You are going to need cardstock. I'm choosing the red artisan cardstock. I'm also using navy artisan cardstock and natural. So you'll need in red, one that's 6 by 12, 2 that are 5 by 4. You will need some chipboard. I've already got that cut out, and it is lightweight chipboard. You will need 2 pieces that are 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. 2 pieces that are 3 7/8 by 2 7/8, and then 1 piece that is 5 7/8 by 2 7/8. And it makes a very nice box. And then the holder piece, this is a cardstock piece. I didn't write that part down, but this is a piece of cardstock that's 5 by 3 1/2, and that's what's going to make that little corner piece that you can put all of your decorations, your sparkler, your rocket, and your rosette in. Okay, so that's what we have. I have my pattern papers all ready to go, and I have my pieces all ready to go. There's my holder. So let's talk about the box here. Let me put that away. So we're going to have those 3 pieces here that we need. The 6 by 12 you're going to put in your scoreboard, and you're going to, let me make sure everything's good here, and we're in camera view. We are. So you have your 6 by 12 at the top. We're going to score at 1/2, 4 1/2, 7 1/2, and 11 1/2. Okay, half, 4 1/2, 7 1/2, 11 1/2, and that's all you're going to do for that piece. And then we're going to take our 2 pieces that are 4 by 5, and you're simply going to score them at 1/2 and 3 1/2 on the 4, and then on the 5 we'll score at 1/2 and 4 1/2. So essentially what you're doing is 1/2 inch score all the way around. Okay, and you'll do that on both of those pieces. Oh, and then before I put this away, let's grab the holder piece. This is 5 by 3 1/2. You're going to score at 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pretty simple. Okay, so let's put this away and grab our 6 by 12 piece, and you're going to just do a little miter on the on the top and bottom 1/2 inch scores, like so. All right, and then we'll fold and burnish. And these all just kind of go the same way, so just make sure they're nice and lined up, and just fold and burnish. This is going to create our box, our outside of our box, like so. And then we'll set that off to the side, and then we'll grab our 2 little pieces here, and basically what we're going to do is the 2 tall sides and 1 bottom side is what's going to create the box. It's going to attach to the bottom and attach to the sides. This part here is going to fold over our chipboard. So what we're going to do, we're going to miter the top edge just slightly. We're not going to do kind of a crazy miter at the top, okay? Just a little bit, as Chef Tell would say, just a little, not too much, right? And then we're going to miter down here. You can do it a little bit sharper on the bottom if you want to. It doesn't really matter. But the top, I want to kind of try to cover up the chipboard a little bit. So I want to, I don't know, I just think it's better if you just don't miter it too sharply at the top. So I'm just going to miter here, and then just do, if I can get my scissors in there, just do a little miter there, and then do this, and miter there, all 4 sides, okay? The way that this box is put together is the sides will go to the outside of our box. So you have nice rounded edges. So we're going to fold and burnish. These. And I hope you are enjoying your patriotic YouTube hop. This is so awesome. This is really fun. I enjoyed making this project, and I'm really enjoying using my Stars and Stripes from Country Craft Creations. The colors in this paper collection are just beautiful. All right, so now that we have all our pieces prepared, so what we're going to do is the bottom edges will go just to the you can do it on the inside or the outside. I'm going to do it to the outside because I want that rounded edge. So I'm going to take my glue, my art glitter glue. I'm going to put a little bit here on the tab that's going to go right in the middle here. That's going to create the sides of my box, and we're gluing it right to that middle section right there. And I did it again. If you guys follow me, you know I never get my little wipey out when I'm actually prepping. I never do it. I never do it. But I guess I don't want to disappoint, right? So here we go. We will grab the other one here, do the same thing. Get our glue. And I'm just going to lift this up, and when I'm putting this down, I'm putting it right to that score line, that mountain part of the score line, and I'm trying to line everything up nice and even. But I want it to, you know, not hinder the box going up. All right, and then I'm going to just do that, and we are good to go. Once you get your piece done, then you're going to put your chipboard down, and I just kind of laid this out so you can see what we're going to do, and I'm just going to use glue. And this is, again, lightweight chipboard. It doesn't have to be super thick chipboard. It really doesn't. Put your glue down, and we did do it a little smaller than this piece, so you should have about a 1/16 inch of an edge or so, and we're just going to put that down. Okay, and we'll do that all the way around, and then once we're done with that, then we're going to cover with pattern paper on the inside. All right, once you get the box inside chipboard pieces done, then we're going to just put glue on our tabs here all the way around, and then just fold over that top edge. And what that's going to do is give us just a nice rounded covered edge on our chipboard. Okay, so all 4 of those top edges, like so. So next step is to cover the inside. Now I have the inside all ready to go, and I've cut my pattern papers out. So I am going to just lay those down on top, and they should completely cover your chipboard. They are cut the exact same size as your chipboard, so when you lay them down, they should completely cover that up. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I will be right back, and then we'll go on to the next step. And again, we are inside the box still. Inside of the box is covered now, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over, and the way that I've got this set up is that this is going to be the front of my box here because of the way that I put my pattern papers and the way that the bottom is turned out. So this is going to be the front of my box. So whatever, if you know, pattern paper you choose, if you really have one that you really want on the front, that's what you're going to do there. So we're going to not put them on here because when we fold up our box, this is going to go the outside, so you'll cover that up second. Okay, so I do want this on the front, but I'm going to put that off to the side. I want this on the back, and just remember to check your direction because this is a box. You can put the paper on the sides, and then again, just check your direction, and then you can put the paper on the bottom. Okay, so we'll do that. My pattern papers are on, so then all you're going to need to do is put glue on your tabs and then attach them to create the box shape. Okay, so we're going to, let's see, I'll just do one at a time here. So you're just going to go ahead and bring this up. Okay, it's going to attach to the outside. Okay, and then going to get my bone folder in there and just make sure it's nice and stuck, and then you're just going to continue around doing that. So we will finish that. So that's why you cannot put the pattern paper on the 2 larger sides on the front and the back, because then the tabs, we need to cover up those tabs, so we need to wait. So that's why we're doing that. So let's do this. All right, and I'm just lining up my corners. Do one at a time. I just love art glitter glue because it gives you a second to kind of fiddle, but then it sticks really quickly, so it's super nice. Okay, so last tab here, like so. Okay. Now to put my pattern papers on, so just remember which one you want on the front. Okay, and I think this one was the one I want on the front, like so. So we're going to go ahead and put that around. There we go. Alright, and then the back, and then our box is essentially done. And then decorating, you know, you can decorate, of course, any way you want. You know, that is completely and totally up to you. I'm just trying to be careful not to bend my box. There we go. So our box is done. I love how that looks. All right, so that part's good. Now to make the holder, you're just going to take that 3.5 by 5 inch piece of paper, and what you're going to do is you're going to take it and we're going to glue 2 of those pieces together to create a nice little box. And what that's going to do is just get glued into the corner, and then all the little goodies that you make with like your sparkler and your rosettes and everything will sit in there in the corner and look really cute as a decoration, and they won't fall all over your box. They'll have a place to live. So I'm just going to make that into my box, right? My little tube, I should say, my little holder. And then I'm going to put glue on 2 sides. And I'm just sticking the cut edge in the corner of the box just because then, you know, the nice rounded edges on the outside. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm putting it in the corner here. You can put it on the left or the right, it doesn't matter. I'm just putting it in the back of my box. I'm just going to hold that down just for a second. And then go in with my bone folder and kind of make sure that's stuck. Like so. So now I have my holder to put those things in. The next thing that I was going to show you is I'm going to, I wanted to wrap some seam binding around and tie it in a bow like I did my other one. So I'm just going to do that. All right, make sure that it's not twisted or anything, and tie a pretty bow over here. If I can get my fingers to work, of course, because, you know, there's that. All right, I'm gonna tie a little bow in the corner. I'm not gluing anything down yet. I wanna make sure I got everything just kind of where I want it. So this is, again, seam binding from Country Craft Creations. All right, so I've got my seam binding around. Want it kind of in the middle, so I'm gonna just kind of make sure it's like right where I want it. And then what I'm gonna do is put this as kind of the front title. So I do need to move it over just a little bit. And then this is going to, this little piece here is gonna glue right on top of it, and that'll secure it on the front. So let's do that. Let's glue this down first. This is just how I did it. I won't show you all the putting the flowers on and everything. What I'm gonna do is we will you know, make the projects. I'll show you how to put them basically together, and then at the end of the video I'll come back after I have done all of the decorating and everything and show you how that looks. Okay, so again, I'm just going to center that right there. Okay, and then that will go, and I'm just going to eyeball this right over the top there. Okay, so that's how that'll look. We'll trim this off just a little. And then what I did was I wanted to kind of secure it a little bit, so I put buttons on the sides, and then I just used a little bit of my hot glue here to do that. So I just did that, and that helps secure the seam binding from kind of moving up and down on the front and the back. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Hope you can see that too. I'm trying really hard to make sure I show you what I did and tell you why I did it that way. All right, so a little more hot glue, and boom. Just add my little button there, and that'll kind of help secure everything. Nice and straight and cute. Then you have a little bow in the front, and then you can add flowers. You can do all kinds of stuff to the front. So that's pretty much that for now. And the box is done. So let's move on to the next thing. So for the Polaroids, they're really easy to do. You need 2 pieces, or I use 2 pieces of colored cardstock in red and navy that are 4 by 4 and 1/4. And those pieces, you will use a piece of white 3.5 by 3 on the top, and then you put them at the top. There's about 1/4 of an inch space all the way around, and then you have all this stuff to decorate. So that's what I did with that. The smaller ones measure 3.5 by 4 1/4, so 3.5 by 4 1/4, and then the 2 white or natural matte pieces are 3 by 3, and those just go there. So that's how you create the Polaroids. So again, what I did with those was I just grab one here. I just took some stickers. Now I have some of that powder, and they do sell the powder at Country Craft Creations, where you can put it on the sticker so that it doesn't stick, and then you can actually stick a picture behind the sticker. And then I just stuck it here, and then I used a piece of leftover pattern paper for the backs. Now I haven't cut that pattern paper or decided which of the little elements I'm going to use yet. I'll do that at the end of the video, but that's basically all there is to creating the Polaroids that I created. Very, very super simple. So again, the larger ones 4 by 4 1/4. These are 3.5 by 4 1/4, and then the mats here 3.5 by 3, and then 3 by 3 here. And that's all there is to creating the Polaroids. You can make obviously as many or as few as you want, but that's how you do that. Super simple. So I will finish those off camera, and then I'll come back at the end of the video and show you how to do that. Let's move on to our never-ending mini book, and I really like this little book. This is a fun one to make, and you can make this in any size you want, just as long as you know the formula. So for this, you need 3 pieces of paper. They can be any size you want as long as they are all the same. So for this one, I chose a book that was 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So you need 3 pieces of paper that are 7.5 by 3 3/4. Okay, so basically 7.5 is twice 3 3/4. So you have kind of a square book. Okay, I did cut a piece of pattern paper for the front of the album. I didn't cut anything for the rest because again, I'm using scraps and I wanted to see what I had left over because I wasn't starting with a full pack of pattern paper. So for 2 of those 3 pieces, you're going to put it in your scoreboard at 7.5, and you're going to score at 3 3/4. Okay, for 2 of them, you're going to do that. So 7.5 at the top of the scoreboard, score at 3 3/4. Then you're going to take the third one. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to score it at 3 3/4. But then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it over, and you're going to score it at 3.5. and at 4. So what that's going to give you is a 1/4 inch space on either side of that center fold, okay, in the opposite direction. So then take your first 2 pieces, fold them in half, like so. This is a great project if you're scrap busting because you can make all kinds of little things and just kind of use what you have left over. So make your mountains into valleys and your valleys into mountains. So we're going to fold this in half in the center, right? And then you're going to fold back so that you have kind of a W shape. All right. Like so, okay? So you see that W shape, All right. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 pieces that have the one fold, and you're going to put them together like that. Those are going to glue into that little W shape of that 3rd piece. Now you do not want glue on the inside of these 2, because when this book opens, that's going to be one of our openings. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to be really, really careful, and I know that this is a little bit difficult because it is a 1/4 inch piece, but you're going to just put a line of glue on each 1/4 piece. Don't get it in the score, don't get it in the middle, and then you're going to line up those 2 open edges right here. Okay, and then we're going to just push them into that W carefully, and then pinch that down, and then that is what glues this whole thing together, and it is fabulous. Okay, so you have the W piece here, and there's that little W, right? So you're basically gluing it into the bottom of that W. Can you see that? Okay, and then those 2 pieces are in here, but that's how you put it together, and that's it. So then you open these up, these fold in, and that folds like this, so that when you have your book, here's the front page, it opens like this, and then you have a little page here. Then you turn it, it opens like so, and then this is the middle of those 2 pieces. Okay, that is the Never Ending mini book. And then I just picked this piece here. I'm going to put that on the front. I will pick the rest of it later and decorate this up, but that's a Never Ending mini album. So you can, again, you can make this any size you want. You could keep it a square album if you want. You can make it, you know, a rectangle shaped album. You know, you can do whatever. The only thing you need to make sure that you do is you have 3 pieces of the same thing. And if you use it bigger, like if I was using like 6x6 paper, for example, or 6x12, I should say, you'd fold it in half and have 6-inch papers. You could use a 1/2 inch here rather than a 1/4, but because this book is a little bit smaller, that's why I chose the 1/4. But that's pretty much it. So that's the Never Ending mini book, and again, I will finish that and I'll show that to you at the end of the video. But that's basically how you did that. But look at how many pages that gives you off of those just 3 pieces of paper and how you put them together. And the only binding is the bottom of that W. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool little maneuver there. All right, so there's that. The library card. Let's talk about the library card. So now I did use the die, and I do have the die cut out just to show you. So when you cut it out, it looks like this, and then you just fold it up and fold these to the back, and then that gives you your little library pocket. It has a nice little curve here, which is really awesome. But I'm going to show you how to make one on your own if you don't have that die. So you will need a piece of paper that's 4.5 by 7.5, and then I have another library card. So if you don't have a library card, you can find one online to print. I found these at Goodwill, like a whole bunch of them for really dirt cheap, so I bought them. So they're 3x5. You can use an index card. You can cut out another piece of, you know, pattern paper. You could do whatever you wanted to do with this, but that's what size that is. And then I did what I'm calling a short card and a tall card, and I'll explain that in a minute, and then a little mini pocket to kind of mimic the mini pocket that I made on my library card. Okay, so again, when I used the die, it had this little mini pocket. I'll show you. We're going to make a little mini pocket as well. Okay, so let's take our paper that is 4.5 by 7.5, 4.5 at the top, score it 1/2 and 4. And then we're going to turn it, and we're going to score at 4.25. Okay, and that is the library card. Grab your scissors. Try not to burn myself on my glue gun here. Let me move it over just a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do is the pocket part, which is the shorter part, that's where we're going to have the tabs that make the pocket. So we're going to cut those, we're going to miter them, and then I want you to cut that score out. So it's just going to be just on the other side of that score. because the tabs are going to wrap around that pocket, okay? So cut those scores out all the way up. Miter and miter, okay? Then if you wish, you can corner around the top here, so we'll go ahead and do that. And then fold and burnish, so that will go up. That's your pocket. We'll wrap around here to the back. And then that way, whatever you decide to put in your pocket, it won't, you don't get caught up in the tabs, all right? So then we're just going to glue here. And then I'll glue here real quick. Okay. And then voila, you have your library pocket. Now I did cut a piece of pattern paper to cover the front. So let's go ahead and put that on, because we kind of can't put that little teeny tiny pocket on unless we do this. So I'm going to glue that down. And that's just covering. I love the flowers in this collection. That is so pretty. Now for the little pocket here, this piece is 4 by 2. We're going to score it to create a pocket. So you're going to score it half and at 3.5 on the 4-inch at the top. We're going to turn it with a 2, and I scored it at 1.5. You just need a 1/2-inch tab. Okay, so we're scoring basically on 3 sides to get a pocket. And then again, this is the kind of handmade version here of the pocket. If you have the die, it has the die for the little pocket, and it's a little slot pocket. This is obviously a little bit different, but if you don't have the die, then this is how you would do it. I love the die though. It's a cute, cute little pocket. All right, so there you go. And then that will glue right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the bottom down first, and then I'm going to use the tape trick. And I'm just eyeballing it there. I'm just putting it where I feel like it there. And grab your tape. And I'm going to put that over that tab, so that way whatever I decide to put in that won't get caught up on that tab. And then put a little glue here. A little glue here. And then you can choose to decorate that if you want to. On this one, I left it plain. So you could put another little piece of pattern paper on top of that if you want to, or a little die cut or whatever. But that's your pocket, and then your little library card will go in there. Now, I mentioned something about a tall pocket versus, or a tall card versus a short card. So the short card here is this. So basically the short card just goes to the height of the library card. So if you want to do that, it's 7.25 by 4.5. 7.25 by 4.5. And then when you score it, you're going to score at 3 5/8. Okay, so that's the short card, 7.25 by 4.5. Now, if you want to make a tall pocket card, which I'm going to do, what this will do is actually be tall enough to have the card not stick over the top. Okay, so like if you see this short one here, it sticks over the top. I didn't mind that at all, but if you do, then this is the one you're going to want to make. So it's 7.25 by 5.5, and again, you're going to score at 3 5/8, because that's the midpoint of 7.25. Okay, and so I just made a card. This will glue right to the front. Okay, so let me grab my glue, and I'm just going to glue that pocket down. Now, if you want to glue this library card pocket on 3 sides, and then create another pocket behind it, you totally could. And I'm just going to put that to the bottom of the card and center it. But I'm going to just leave it all glued down, and then we'll put our card in there like that. And then these 2 pieces here are photo mats that will go on the inside. Okay, I cut my mats and everything an 1/8 inch smaller than the piece it's covering generally, so that's how I did that. But that's the library card. And again, this one is the tall card and this was the short card. Okay, so you can see the difference from behind. Okay, so 2 different versions. So that's that for the library card. Let's look at our envelope. The envelope is kind of fun. I got lots of things to show you with this. So let me get my little self organized here. Got my little bits and pieces here. So for the actual envelope, let's start with that before we get to the bits and pieces. So when you make this envelope, I used my envelope punch board, and I started with 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 piece of paper, and I'm using the natural cardstock for that. You start scoring on the 3 3/4, but you only do the 3 sides, okay? Because what I ended up doing was when the envelope is folded, I did not want to score at the top because I used the back of the envelope I did use it for a photo mat, and I really didn't want the score line to go where the flap of the envelope would be. So that's why I'm only doing it on the 3 sides here, okay? So, just keep that in your mind when you do that. So you do want the 3 scores so you can actually fold and make the envelope. Again, the envelope here is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. And if I can find my scoreboard without making a huge mess. All right, so then you start with everything at 3 3/4. And of course, I've already corner rounded and everything. How did that not work? 3 3/4 right there. So you start, you do your line, and then you do the, turn and do, do it again, right? 2, and then just do the opposite side again for your 3rd line. I hope that makes sense. I know everybody's made 101 of these at least, right? So then once you get your 3 scores, and again, I don't have the score at the top for the flap. Now, if you do score the top of the flap, it's not the end of the world because you're going to put a photo mat here anyway, so it's going to probably not be a big deal. I just didn't want it, okay? So I'm just folding all my pieces. So you punch it, you score it, you do all the things that you normally do. If you want to cut that little nubbin off here, you can. I chose to leave it. No big deal if you keep it or not. I'm just going to put a little here and a little here. That out of the way and fold up your envelope, and that part's done, okay? All right, so that part is done. Now I did in the envelope, if you recall, I used cut aparts for this. I used a 4x4 or 3x4 cut apart for this. The mat is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then the card itself is 3 1/2 by 9, and then I just scored it at 4 1/2 and made this little card. Okay, then this one here I did at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and again I just scored it at 4 1/4 and just made a card. And I put a photo mat here, and then I had a little piece of cardstock left over, so then I trimmed down one of the cut aparts here and then just did that. And so you have 2 places here for photos. And I did trim down this 4x6 to fit that card and then left the back blank. So I basically just did that, and then I made the tag. So I think probably, so here's the 3 1/2 by 9. Again, you just score it at 4 1/2, and then I made the mat. I didn't pick the pattern paper because I didn't know what I was going to have left over, but I am going to do that and show you at the end of the video. Here is our basic 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 card that I'm going to put in here. And I didn't pick the photo mat for that yet, but then let's talk about our tag and the decorations for this. So let's put this one there. We'll put our envelope to the side. Now, if you have the die from Heartfelt Creations to create this tag, or any tag die you have, that's great. The size of that is 4x6. So what I did to just make my own 4x6, and then I cut this white mat, and this is for my photo. To fit. Okay, so I cut that. Sorry, lost my word there. I lost my word. Trying to get that on there nice and straight. Didn't do it. There we go. I think that's better. All right, so I did that. So cut that. I used my punch to create the tag shape at the top. Pretty easy. I'm going to grab my crocodile here and, or not my crocodile. I'm going to grab my, my hole puncher thingy. And I'm going to punch my hole. I'm just going to eyeball it here and set an eyelet. And I just went in my stash. I don't have any more regular eyelets. I've used them all. So I'm going to use this nice big chunky one here and set that. Okay, so that's basically done. And then I picked my seam binding here, and I wanted one of each color. So the seam binding is from Country Craft Creations. So I picked the dark navy, the red, the white, and this blue. It's really pretty light blue. And I'm going to thread it through my eyelet. Hopefully get them all in there. It's going to be a little tight fit. I'm going to grab my little pickups here. Going to pop those through. Okay. And they are a little long. I knew I was going to trim them, but that's okay. It's better to trim them than not to have enough, right? And then you can make them, you can actually keep it as long as you want, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my twine and wrap it around, and then I'm going to put one end through each buttonhole. This button was from my stash, and I just thought it was kind of a fun button. So I'm going to put one end through, if I can get it through. I might, oops, there we go. Trim that a little bit because the end is a little bit not wanting to cooperate. There we go. And then I'm just going to tie a bow around it, and that's all I'm going to do. Make sure that your seam binding is pushed up nice. Okay. And there we go. Tie a bow. And once you get that first, throw in, you can kind of pull it and tighten it a little bit. Okay. Tie your little bow, and ta-da! There we go. That'll be really cute. So I'm just going to, I am going to trim a little bit off here and do that. So there we go. A little bit here and there. I love it. Love it. Let me see how that looks. That looks pretty darn good. All right, so I like that. So that's how I did my tag. So then that will also go in and be a really cute little embellishment. I might trim off a little bit more. We'll see. But that's for that. So then on the back, I did a piece of cardstock for a photo mat. This is 4x6. And then I just put it down here right smack dab in the middle here and then decorated around it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'll come back, I'll show you again the decorations for this. I don't want this video to be like way too long, but there's a lot of things that I kind of threw in here that I really enjoyed making, and I wanted to show you how to make it too. Okay, so photo mat back there, ready to go. And like I said, if you do accidentally score, that'll help strengthen that up. And then on the front, I'm going to go ahead and I took this piece that I trimmed down a little bit, and I'm going to put that right on the front here and then decorate that up. So yeah, that's going to turn out really cute. So that's how I'm going to do that. And that's the envelope that I made because, even though it's a loaded box, you have to have a loaded envelope, right? A little loaded envelope anyway. All right, next thing, let's look at this book. Okay, so here's the Viewmaster book. Now I did some of this already, so I wanted to show you and tell you a couple tricks. Okay, so what I ended up doing was you cut 2 pieces of your pattern paper with the little windows, and then so you have your front and your back, and then you cut 2 pieces of your cardstock. okay? And put that on the back. So I already finished this one. So then you just glue them together. And then the next step is to put the little window frames on, and then you add your photo mats. So let's do that. And then what I did on here, so I got the photo mat, and then I added the little cut aparts that I fussy cut out. You can tuck your picture underneath, but just decorated it, and it's going to look really, really cute. I got this one ready for the back of the book, and then the other photo mat for the inside. These are 3x4, and these are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. The red is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So when you get your piece, the first thing I did was go ahead and glue them together. So I'm just going to add some glue back here, and I'm going to go around the holes a little bit. Okay. Put my glue down like so. I'm going to go around all those little bits. I love this Viewmaster. I mean, like, I think a lot of you are old enough to remember Viewmasters. I still have one. The kids have one in their grandkids' room because they're the coolest toys ever. So I'm lining up my holes. And again, you can cut, you know, as many of these out as you want. You could even do them just solid cardstock in the middle and decorate them however you want. The one thing that I did do was that when I put them together, I did notice that there's a little bit of overhang that you might need to trim, and that's okay. So once you make sure that it's all glued down, you may have to go around with your X-Acto knife and trim that. And if I can find my X-Acto knife where I put it, where I hid it really safe from myself, there you go. So I'm going to just go around very, very carefully and try not to cut into my pattern paper. I'm just going to trim it up so the edges are all even, okay? All right. There we go. And then turn it over. You might have to do the same thing. Now the other thing too is this is probably because when I ran them through my machine, I kind of had to reverse the cardstock because, you know, all of the cutting edges and stuff, you know, kind of press into your, you know, your cardstock. And I didn't think about using another piece of paper or wax paper or something, you know, to go behind it to try and prevent that. So I just flipped the paper over. So anyways, that's what you're going to end up with. Okay, so there's your back. And okay, so now when you put the windows on, when you die cut the windows, a little secret hint and tip, if you want it to go a little bit faster, is put some score tape on the back of the cardstock that you're going to use, because then that way you can just peel it off and stick it down. Otherwise you have to try and glue this down, which is what I did the first time because I forgot, and it's a little more tedious. But if you use the score tape first, then run it through your die machine, then all you have to do is just peel off the backing and stick it down, okay? And then you can do your windows, okay? There's 7 on each side, so you'll need to make 14 of these. So that's why gluing got kind of tedious. So yeah, do that. Do that. There we go. All right, so here's that, like that. And then the back is done, okay? So again, this will be the back of the album. And then since when you layer these on, I did it, let me measure, just to make sure that I'm telling you right, about 1/2 inch in from the whole edges, okay? And then I just put them down over top, and then I put a cut apart on the front, and then put the photo mat on the back. So I'm going to use that actually as a template, because when this is closed, I want it to kind of match as much as possible. So I'm going to line these up, and you could even use a little clip just to make sure that they don't move around. The holes are lined up for our binding. I'm going to grab the outside piece, which is going to go here. I'm going to center it top and bottom, so it's going to line up right about halfway into the hole here and here, closest to the inner circle. So I don't want to glue it down here, so I'm just going to glue on the outside edges like a C, okay? on these edges at first, okay, because it's going to be reinforced by this one. And then I'm just going to kind of line this up and kind of make sure it matches the edges of the piece underneath that's on the front of this. And then because it's only glued down right now on all three, this top, that side, and down the bottom, I'm just going to make sure that it's glued down, okay? You can take that off, and then I'm going to go ahead and then just put this down and glue it all the way, and then the glue will be here and it will secure everything really nice. Okay, so again, now I'm just lining up the edges of those photo mats, and I'm kind of getting, you know, and if you want, you can put this together and kind of really make sure that you line it up with, you know, the piece here and here, so you have the top and the bottom kind of lined up. And there you go, like that. Okay. There you go. So that's it. So I have some pieces cut out that I'm going to decorate with. Then what you're going to need is my handy dandy little bowl here. My bowl of goodies. So we have our little binder rings. And you're just going to put your little tiny binder rings, or like I said, you could use oversized jump rings. You could do ribbon, all kinds of different things you could do. Pop those in like so. Easier said than done, right? They never work on camera the way you want them to, that's for sure, okay? I'll just do 2 for now to just give you an idea, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this charm here. I'm going to take the earring back off and save it for another purpose because I might make some earrings. And that little jump ring that's already on there, I'm going to save it because that's what's going to attach it to here. And as a matter of fact, let me just do that real quick. I'll show you. I'll take that off. Oh, come on. Okay. So if you open this guy up, then you can, if I can get the, there we go, hang that on there, and then actually hang it the other way. I always get it backwards too. There we go. There. And then you can have a charm. So that's why I did that, and it was really easy to do, right? Then I have all of this. I'm going to thread it through, and let me show you on this one here. I just looped it through that top ring and then tied a bow around it, and that's all I did to make the seam binding on it, and then have the charm hanging off. And then obviously you're going to have the 4 holes here. So that's how I did that. And then I added some flowers around, and I decorated again the inside with stickers and things like that. I'm going to use the cut aparts from this paper collection. But that's how I did that. So I will come back and I will share with you how that finishes up. But that's kind of my plan for that. And again, I have all of these delightful little goodies that I'm going to use during that process. Hey, I wanted to come back and make sure that I told you how to recreate this if you don't have this die. There's a lot of parts and pieces that I used here, and there would be a lot of window punching and all that stuff. But if you know, the die is available at Country Craft Creations, and it is a beautiful die set. So I'm really excited to use the rest of the pieces. I haven't used all the pieces yet. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that this is basically a half circle. However, they do add a little bit of extra space because of the holes in it to create that. So you can see when you open it up, it's really not a perfect circle. It is an oval. Now, if you got rid of the spaces here, the 1/2 inch spaces where they put the holes, then it would be a perfect circle, okay? The circle itself, or, you know, the diameter of it anyway, if you measure it, is 8 1/4. So if it was a perfect circle, then it would, you know, an 8 1/4 inch circle. And then they add about a 1/2 inch for the space here for the holes. So, you know, I mean, you could make it like an 8 3/4 inch circle, and then it would be a little bit taller, but it would be wide enough to accommodate the holes. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You wouldn't necessarily have to cut out the inside if you didn't want to. You could totally leave it as a half circle, you know, so there's that. But again, it is 8 1/4 inch tall, and the total width of it, if you add that 1/2 inch in, is roughly 4 1/2 inches wide. So it is a little bit more of an oval shape once you put them together like that. So I wanted to let you know that if you needed to recreate your own little half circle thing. The actual little window pieces, I measured them at about, let's see, they are 7/8 inch wide by 1 inch tall, and then the little frame pieces are 1 1/8 inch wide by 1 1/4 inch tall. So I wanted to let you know that. I did forget to do that during the tutorial, so I'm back after the fact to let you know that. So thanks, and let's continue on. So let me put this away, and let's grab the next things that are really fun to do. Kind of clip those together. And all right, let's talk mini paper chain here real quick because it's the closest thing that I had. This is super simple to make. I thought it was really cute, and again, I thought it was really fun because, you know, you have all those garlands that people put around their tables and decorate and everything, and it's just really cute. And it's a cute way, if you want, to make a nice little, you know, decoration. So uses up scraps. I just cut up a bunch of pieces, and I sat here while I was watching a TV show and put them together. Each piece is 1/4 inch by 2 1/2. And that's all there is to it. And then once you chain them together, you make a really cute chain. So what I'm going to do is all you need to do is, once you get started, just loop that through. And then sometimes it was actually easier if you just kind of give it a little curlicue with your bone folder, okay? And then I'm going to loop it through, put a little glue here. And again, this is 1/4 by 2 1/2 inch strips, so it doesn't take much paper, and you can sit and watch a TV show while you're doing it. And it turned out really good. I think I was watching Succession reruns from the past season while I was doing this. There, and that's how you do that. So that's how you make the paper chain. That's it. It's just super simple. We've all done this before, just on a mini scale. So this would be really cute for a tabletop decoration. So that's why I wanted to show you that. And then let's go on to the sparklers and things. So we got lots of really fun elements to put together. I thought this was fun. So let's start with the rocket. Now I am using these sticks, which are actually for like lollipops or cake pops or something like that. So they're not hollow. They're paper, but they're not hollow, and they're quite sturdy. So you can use those. Other options are using a decorative straw. So I did have this silver one here that I wanted to show you. These are equally as nice. You can use wooden dowels, and you can either leave them plain, you can paint them, you could Sharpie marker them and color them any color you want. You can washi tape around them, all kinds of different ways to decorate them. You can leave them plain if you want to. Now, I know that this is a Valentine's pencil, but I have used pencils before too. I mean, you can get these decorative pencils for all holidays, which of course now I couldn't find any with stars and stripes or anything, but these make great, you know, sticks for this kind of stuff too. So whatever you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and use these. I liked them because they were white and they kind of went along with the red, white, and blue theme. So also for this rocket, and let me show you the rocket again. if I can find it. For the rocket, it's going to have, you know, your stick. You're going to have your ribbon kind of hanging out of it, and then you're going to have your barrel, and then this top part here. The paper that you're going to need is just 2 simple pieces of paper. One is 3 by 5, and then you're going to need a 2.5 inch diameter circle. And then I just grabbed some ribbon from my stash, and I simply did a staple in the top, and we got that ready to go. So you can trim these off as you need to. Once we get it put in there, we can see if they're too long, too short, whatever. But that's how I just grabbed like 5 different pieces. I put them together, stapled them, and now they're ready to attach. So for the actual rocket, the first thing I'm going to do is try and give it a little bit of curve, because it just kind of makes it a little bit better. A little bit easier. And then we're going to just glue this into a tube, okay? And I overlapped it about 1/2 inch by the time everything was all said and done. It doesn't, you know, it's not like super specific. All right, so I'm just going to add my glue, and then this is where it looks funky and takes some time, but then you're just going to fold that over and glue that down. Okay, use your fingers, go in the tube, and just make yourself a little tube. That's all you're gonna do. And I like this paper too, because it had all the rockets and the stars and everything, and it was like, this is perfect. All right, then the next thing that I did, because it really did help to glue into the top part here, is wherever the top part is, I'm going to cut down about 1/2 inch. And again, it doesn't have to be super exact, all the way around, I don't know, about 1/2 or, you know, whatever, apart. Okay. And then you're just going to fold those down just a little bit, just to kind of create a top, like so. That's just going to help us with the gluing. And then this is also where a glue gun actually works really good. So you're going to have something that looks like that, okay? Then you're going to take your circle, and I'm going to just cut up the center of the circle just to the center, roughly, okay? And again, it doesn't have to be super exact science. And then when I was playing with my prototypes, like I cut off a wedge that looked something like, I don't know, a Pac-Man. Now I'm really dating myself, right? And then so when you twist this and fold it, that's what you're going to get. You're just going to glue this down over the edge and give yourself a little bit of a cone, okay? Now, if you don't like I thought the stripes would look good, but now that I'm like folding it, I don't like the way the stripes are going. So the back side has floral on it, kind of like that. So I'm just going to glue that down like so, okay? So just play with it. If it's too big, too little, or whatever, you can always, you know, you can adjust it. But I did cut it so it was, you know, like a little Pac-Man. I don't know how else to say it. I'm just going to put a little glue here, and I'm going to do this. And then pinch it down, and then we're going to just hold it for a second and make sure that that's good. So that's going to be the top of our rocket. Okay. And then this will sit on top like that. And then this is why we have this little thing here, because what we're going to do is add our glue to that and then set this on top. And what I tried to do is, here's this back seam of my rocket. Here's the back seam to the top. So I'm kind of going to try and match that up. So don't burn yourself. Get a little bit of your glue here. And then I'm just going to set this right on top. And then before that glue dries, just kind of really try to get it centered. Okay? And then just hold that down. And then, ta-da! You have a rocket. And it's kind of silly, and I love it. But it looks really cute when it's sticking in that little holder in your box, and you have all these cute things kind of hanging out. All right, so once that's kind of set, a little bit, or you can let it go. You can kind of go in and push those down a little bit more to kind of really glue into the top there. Okay. And then there's that. So there's the back, there's the seam. And I got it pretty close to the back seam. That's pretty good. All right, so let's let that set for just a sec. And then you're going to take your stick. Now your stick is going to glue into that back seam. So however long you want that, you can, adjust it. You can go all the way up in there, or you can just go a little bit down. Before you do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that ribbon to the top of my stick. Maybe if I can get the glue out. So I'll put a little glue there. Put my ribbon on there. Be careful, don't burn yourself. Just kind of wrap that around. Okay. And then I'm going to go on the back side of that. I'm going to put some glue back here. And then that is going to glue inside to the back of my rocket. Okay, so I tried to line it up with the seam side, and I'm just going to glue it back there. Okay, so you can kind of see how that's done. And then there's your rocket. You got all your streamers coming out, looking super cute, right? That's adorable. I love it. I love that. So we'll let that sit to the side. All right. The next thing is the sparkler. And this one's a fun one. So again, another one of my cake pop sticks. You're going to need a piece of cardstock, pattern paper, whatever you want to use. I'm going to use cardstock on this one. That's 3x5. And then what I did on the 3-inch side was I did a pencil line at 1/2 inch. And the reason I did that is because now you're going to need to take your scissors. And I have some of these fringe scissors. If you don't have fringe scissors, you can use, regular scissors. But I'm going to go and I'm just going to fringe up to that line. Okay. All the way. And if you go past the line a little bit, that's okay too. But you want about 1/2 inch because we're going to have to glue it to the stick, right? Let me see. And again, let me show you the sparkler here. This is what we're making, okay? And that just looks really cute. Sparklers were a huge thing when I was a kid. I loved them. And I just had to make this. So there you go. All right. So once you get it all fringed up, and again, if you don't have one of these fringing scissors, you can go ahead and just use your regular scissors. It's just about 1/8 of an inch apart. So 1/8 of an inch fringe, right? And then I'm going to put the pencil line on the inside because I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to just kind of round that out because that'll help with getting that stuck. All right. I'm going to grab a little piece of score tape to get it started. And I'm going to put that on the inside in that 1/2 inch place. Get my stick. Put that in there. And then I'm just going to wind that around. Okay. Like so. And then every once in a while, if you want, you can put a little bit of glue, help it stick. I think the score tape is nice because it sticks instantly to get it started. And then you'll notice on this one, I did put a little band around the bottom. I don't know that you need that or not. I'm not going to I'm not going to do that right now for sure. But that is that. Okay. And then, so I'm going to unwind it just a little bit. And I've got it wound around the bottom pretty darn tight. Just going to put a little bit of hot glue here. And you could use art glitter glue if you want to. Whatever your preference is, okay? So now we got like what looks like a witch broom, right? But then what you're going to do is you're going to take your bone folder and you're just going to kind of curl these out. Just do 1 or 2 at a time. Be gentle so you don't rip them, and just go around and kind of create that, sparkler feel, and do a little curling to do that. And you're going to have the cutest little sparkler decoration. Now, if you made these and put a bunch of these in different colors and stuff in a vase, or, you know, use them as a table decoration or something, that'd be really super cute, don't you think? Let's see here. And that's all you got to do. And then you got a sparkler. I mean, look how cute that is and how simple that is. And you can curl these, you know, as much or as little as you want. Do a couple in some opposite directions because I think that that is kind of cute. And they just poof. Now, the other thing too is if it bothers you, if the top of your little stick, if that bothers you, I put one of those little gem dots right in the middle of that, and it kind of looked like it was on fire, I thought. So I thought that was kind of cute too. So you could do that too. You could put you know, a little strip of paper around the base, however you want to decorate it. You could tie ribbons, whatever, but that's how you make a sparkler. That's pretty cute, huh? I think it's cute. Let's see. We've got the rocket, we got the sparkler. What's next? Our rosette. I love my rosettes. So I did make this rosette, and it turned out really cute. This was a border strip from the paper collection, so that's how I got the sizing for it. So the rosette is, let me get the papers here. The rosette, you'll need 2 pieces of pattern paper that are 12 by 1 3/4. You'll need 2 of the 1-inch circles, and then I used a 3.5-inch circle that's scalloped to cover up the back side on it, okay? And then center of choice. On this one here, I use a sticker popped up on Pop Dots. On this one, I'm going to use this little cut apart here that came in the pattern paper collection that I absolutely adored. So I'm going to use that like in the middle. So if you haven't seen my tutorial on rosettes, I'll put a link down below so you can see it. I did an extensive tutorial on rosettes, and this is how I choose to do them. So on the side that I want the front to be, I will put my strip of paper in. I start at 1/4 inch or wherever you're going to start. So I'm doing 1/4 inch pleats. So I start at 1/4 and then I skip 1. So the next one for a 1/4 inch would be half. I skip that. And then I go to 3/4 and then I go 1/4, 3/4 all the way across, and then I turn it. And then in between those, at the 1/2 inch, I'll score at 1, 1/2 inch, 2. So basically what I'm doing is I'm scoring 1/4 inch scores, but my scores are all going the direction I want them to go in. That makes the folding much nicer, okay? So then I'm just going to fold my piece. And I'll tell you what, I'll fold it all and then I'll come right back. So I folded them. Now all I'm going to do is attach my 2 pieces. So I'm going to put some glue here and I'm going to attach okay, make sure that's nice and stuck, and then make sure we attach and make a circle. All right, so do it again. Okay, so then I'm going to fold this. I'm just going to make sure which direction. If it's directional, you need to double check that. I'm going to fold that down and squish it together, and this is a pretty big one. Did I do it too big? Uh-oh, maybe I did it too big. I didn't think I did. Maybe a little bit. That's going to be okay. It'll actually be okay. It'll be fine. So maybe it was 1.5 inches. I'll have to double check that. 3/4. This one's 1 3/4. This one must have been 1.5. Yes, it was 1.5. I measured wrong. Okay, so this one here was 1.5 inch strips. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. This is a 3.5 inch circle. It's going to definitely be a little bit too small. But now you'll get to see the difference because I'm still going to use it because I still think it's going to work. So, glue gun, do not burn yourself. You got to make sure this thing doesn't like bounce around and move and burn you, because I've had that happen. And I'm just going to lay that down. And then I'm actually going to grab this little press tool and just kind of hold that down for a second because it's really hot. Okay. And I'm going to carefully turn it over. And then we're going to do it again. That's what those little 1-inch rounds are for. Okay. And that is how you make a rosette. Okay. The diameter will be a little bit bigger than twice what your strips were. So for example, if your strips are 1.5, I got some glue on there, doesn't matter, we're going to cover it up. If they're 1.5, then they're going to be a little bit bigger than 3 inches. Okay, so you can see this piece here is, you know, this one's 1.5, this one's 1 3/4. I goofed up on that, so I apologize for that, but I'll put a disclaimer in that you've already seen. So there you go. So figure out your front and back. I'm going to use this as the back, and this is going to go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stick. Where did I put my stick? I put it away. Here's my stick. We're going to make it so we can display it. So I'm just going to tuck that into one of the pleats. I'm going to use my glue gun here, and I'm just going to tuck my stick in there. Okay. And then we can use our art glitter glue on this piece. And then again, if you are using a 1 3/4 inch strip, you can use a bigger circle. Go to like a 4-inch circle, so it hangs over the edge or something. But that's how I did that. Okay. And I just covered up the back. So then that covers up the stick. It helps reinforce it. I'm just holding that down so that the glue catches a little bit. All right, and then there you go. Okay, so that still looks really good. And then this will go over the top. So I'm going to take these glue dots were from my stash, and they're not very sticky. So I had to use glue on my glue dots, or my foam dots, I should say, to make them stick. They're old or something, I don't know, but I'm just going to use a little bit of glue here, a little hot glue. And now that I got my stick in there, I know what orientation my wand is, my little rosette wand, and I'm just going to lay that down like that. Okay, then I'll grab my seam binding here. I wanted to put a little ribbon around the base. So I'm going to use a little seam binding and just tie a little bow. And that part is done. And there you go. Fuss with it as much as you want. Get it exactly how you want it. And then you can take a little bit of glue, and actually I might do, I'm going to do this glue. A little glue here, and tighten that down, and then that will help secure that. Okay. Ta-da! And you have your cute little wand. Now, isn't that adorable? And it still that doesn't look terrible on the back like that. I think it's going to be fine. But yeah, if you're using a little scalloped circle that you'd like sticking out, then make sure it's going to be bigger than the piece you're using. So yeah, there you go. We're going to go with it. And you know what? It still worked. I love it. Okay, so there's that. And then the last thing in my list to show you how to make is the little firework flower that I made, and that again is really super simple. So I'm using a piece that's 12 by 3/4, and I wanted it kind of short because, you know, they're supposed to be flowers. And again, you're going to use your fringe ruler, and I'm just going to fringe this, and I did it to about 1/4 of an inch from the end. Okay, so I'm just going to go like that. And it doesn't have to be like super perfect, but you do want a little bit of it in because we do have to wind it. All right, so I'm just using my fringe scissor. You can use regular scissors. They're about 1/8 of an inch apart, the little fringies. All right, and then you're going to need like a quilling tool or something like that. Now, if you don't have a quilling tool, I got this out of my husband's toolbox, and I honestly have no idea what this is called, but it works as well as for a quilling tool, because basically all we're going to do is we're going to put this in and you know, twist. Okay, so just like a quilling tool. So if you don't have a quilling tool, you can use this as well. That works really good on bigger papers. Now I got to figure out, it doesn't really matter, I guess, which side. I am going to go ahead and kind of give it a little bit of a curve again. Okay. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my I'm going to grab a little bit of 1/8 inch score tape, and I'm just going to put a couple pieces kind of random that will help hold the flower together as we roll it. Okay. This seemed to work pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to take the first piece off. I'm going to grab my quilling tool, and whatever you want to use. I did actually use that other piece there for, I got it for making paper beads, actually. And it worked way better than like using a quilling tool because it made a bigger hole in the center for paper beads. So, you know, there you go. So then you just wind it up around your quilling tool, and you get to this point. I'm going to take that off. And then I'm just trying to make sure that the bottom is lined up so it's nice and flat on the bottom. So this end here, away from the fringe. Okay. I'm trying to keep it nice and tight. Get into that last piece here. Now you're going to glue these down too, so, you know, it's going to be secured at the bottom as well. All right, now at this point we could probably take our tool out and then finish winding it up. And then you can use like your hot glue or your regular art glitter glue, whatever you want. If I can get any of it out. Finish that up. And don't burn yourself. There you go. Give that a second. There. Okay. So the bottom should look like that. And then you have your top here. And then basically all you're going to do is just start fanning it out. And that's going to give you those little firework flowers. That I made. I used those. I thought they were kind of cute. So that's what I did. So yeah, okay. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Now that I've made a mess here, I'm going to gather my stuff. I'm going to finish decorating. And then the next part will be showing you how everything all turned out. All right? Like that. There. Little poof of firework. I thought that was kind of cute. Okay. All right. So I will be back in a little bit and show you how things finished. Okay, I have finished my tutorial model, so I thought I'd share with you what that looks like. I'm done with this one. We've already gone through what this turned out to be looking like, so I thought I would just move this out of the way, but share with you what this one looks like. So the box here, we did most of that. I got the ribbon here, stars and stripes piece of paper that's on the front, and then I added some of my flowers, my little firework flower here, and my other flowers made out of the artisan cardstock. So then added some twine ribbon here and some more flowers and stuff. These were all from my stash, or I made them. So that's what the box looks like. And again, if you remember on the side here, I put the buttons to help with the seam binding, just kind of wrap around that. And then we have the inside of the box, and I'll show you kind of the top view of it, and it is chock full of fun things. So let's get started by taking these out. So our rosette, I didn't really do anything else to that. Left it as we made it, so it turned out really pretty. And even though, I did goof and cut the rosette pieces a little bit bigger than I should have, I mean, it still looks fabulous, and I love how it turned out. Our little rocket here, that is super cute, super fun, and very easy to make. So that would be really cute for the kids to do some decorations with. And then we have my sparkler. Now, I didn't add anything to the base, but I did put one of the little red dots there so that it kind of looks like it's on fire a little bit from the top. So we have those pieces ready to go. And then let's take out all of the goodies from the box. Now, I did decorate these up quite a bit, and you'll notice that I do have that little holder there so that all of our little embellishments that we made on sticks, we still have plenty of room, we could do more, just fit in there really nice. So when you're displaying it, they just have a really nice place, and they don't fall around the box. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do that. All right, so let's kind of go through all of this beautiful stuff here. So here is the Never Ending album. Hold on just a second, my chair slipped away. Here's the Never Ending album. So I just did that real simple. I put one flower on there and then kind of called it good. I didn't want to cover up the truck and the God Bless America here, so I left that. So these are the little mini pieces that I cut from the cover page, and so I added those. And then on the inside here, I put one piece of pattern paper here. Again, this is a scrap buster, so I don't have a whole lot of scraps to use, but I did utilize what I could, and you can tuck a picture under there. Looks really good. And again, another piece of pattern paper, and then it closes. There's the back, and then here's the midsection. Use some of the artisan cardstock, and again, more of the little ephemera pieces that I cut out of the cover page. So that turned out really good, and then it turns like that, and there you go. So there is the the Never Ending album. The Polaroids, I used the larger cut aparts and put them on there, and some of them I trimmed a little bit to put the bottom, but you can put a picture on there. And on the back, I used bits of scrap pattern paper. So there's that one. This one. The bigger ones here, again, I trimmed that off a little bit. Pattern paper back there, so you could put pictures and do all that stuff. And then this one turned out, I like that. That's really pretty. And then 4th of July, there it is. So those are the Polaroids. And again, you can make as many as you want, that's for sure. So on this one here, I added one of the little cut aparts here that I fussy cut out. And then I took and made like a little accordion book to put inside that little pocket, and I used this piece of paper. I like the stars on it, so I thought that was really cute to put into that little mini pocket. On the library card, I added some twine and a button, and I just glued that on there. And then on the inside here, we have the photo mats, and then I put the die cuts so that you can tuck a picture underneath. So that's how that one turned out. Really super pretty, I think. Our envelope, our stuffed envelope, I love how this came out. So I used one of the firework flowers here, and then a couple of the flowers that I made. This one's pattern paper, and again, this one is the artisan cardstock that I made. And then down here, this is one that I had in my stash, and then here's one of those buttons I made with one of the clear buttons. And again, I just used art glitter glue and glued it down onto the piece of paper, let it dry, and then I took an X-Acto knife and cut around it. And that made a really pretty little button. So yeah, I did poke holes in the paper with the with my pokey tool, but you know, you didn't really need to unless you're going to thread something through there. All right, so then the back of the album, I kept that kind of plain because I did kind of I used a lot of fluff on this, and so I was kind of like, yeah, I'll put some stuff up here, but I'll leave the bottom kind of more plain. So again, one of those little cover page cut aparts, and then up here button twine and a couple little flowers from my stash. Beautiful place for a photo. And then we'll take these out. I'll show you what's in the envelope. So the first is the small card. Oh, and I didn't trim that up, did I? Let's trim that up. Kind of forgot to do that. There we go. All right, so we have the small card, and on this one I just used a little bit of artisan cardstock. I put one of the larger die cuts, another button that I made with some twine, and then a couple flowers from my stash. And then on the inside I just did a blue photo mat. So that's what that turned out like. On this one here, I added one of the die cuts on the pattern paper and then just some flowers. And then on the inside here, this is a piece of artisan cardstock and this was a piece of the pattern paper. And I thought this was kind of cool. It mimicked what I did on the other one. So I have the pattern paper here and then I have a photo mat here. So that is that. And then the tag, we did the tag and I kind of left that pretty much. I did trim this up a little bit and I left the back blank. So you have plenty of places for photos and journaling if you want. So that is what the envelope ended up looking like. And I was just really pleased with how it turned out. And I'm pleased with all of the decoration and everything. I think it turned out really nice. And then last but definitely not least is my Viewmaster little album. And again, you can add as many pages as you want. I just decided to do 2 for time's sake. But here on the binding here on the ring, I did just loop those seam binding pieces through, tied a ribbon around, and then there is that earring charm again that I used. And I really like how that turned out. On the front, I had this gigantic red flower, this white one, in my stash. I was like, what am I going to do with this? Because I had pulled it out and I was like, I want to use it. So I decided to use it, just the hugest flower with a couple of the smaller ones here. And then I took one of the little fussy cut die cuts from the cover sheet and just tucked it in the flower. And I thought that really gave it a pop. This piece is a piece of pattern paper backed on some artisan cardstock, and then again my flowers. And I did add a couple little white ones up there too, so I really fluffed that up. On the inside here, this is how the album is. I did add a little bit more cut up parts to it just to kind of decorate on the inside, but for the most part I left it you know, more on the plain side. And then on the back, I just left that as is. So that is the project that we made for this July 4th. I hope you enjoyed the YouTube hop. I hope you have fun with the projects, and I will see you again soon with more tutorials. Have a great 4th of July and stay safe, and I'll be back soon. Talk to you later. Bye.